The thing is, with black tea or green tea or anything that comes from the Camellia sinensis plant, I find that after just a few minutes, it often gets very, very bitter. I mean, the original method to make tea in a teapot, you just warm up your teapot with some boiling water, dump it out, add your tea leaves to the pot, pour over the boiling water, let them get friendly in there, and then pour the tea for your guests. The problem is if you're all sitting around talking and the tea has been brewing for a while and you all have small cups of tea, then the tea can sit around in the water too long and then just get acrid, bitter, and not very pleasant tasting, which means you might have to add more sugar or more milk to make it pleasant. So what's the way around that? I would say that the most popular method right now for doing a teapot with loose leaf tea is to have a special teapot that has a specially designed infuser that fits right inside, like so. I'm going to demonstrate this method using this herbal tea, and I'm going to do this the Western British style, where you do 1 teaspoon for me. Oh, sorry. We're going to be polite. 1 for you, 1 for me, and 1 for the pot. Now, if you have more guests, you're supposed to add a teaspoon for them. I'm going to need a pot holder for this. It's very hot. So I've got my water going. And here we go. In it goes. We want to put in enough water that would equal about 3 servings, which is what we put into the pot. That should be about good. Now, I'm going to let that steep for just a bit. The reason why this is so popular is because I can pull this out and it brings all the tea leaves with it and then leaves just the tea liquor, as it's called. One of the drawbacks, though, to this method, though it's convenient, the tea doesn't really have a chance to intermingle and really dance about the bottom of the teapot, which is where all the flavor gets released and where the tea leaves are able to unfurl. That being said, it does look like this is getting some good mixing. This should be about ready. First, what I do is I'm going to use the tea strainer and just gently lift it up. It'll take a couple seconds, depending on how many holes the strainer has. It will take a couple seconds to drain out the excess water. And then I'm just going to place it in a dish. I happen to have this lying around, so I'm using this to catch my dregs. You always want something. So depending on how big your tea strainer is, you're going to want a dish slightly bigger. Pour it in here and give it a taste. So this method is the 2-pot method. And in my opinion, the very best method for making loose leaf tea in a pot. But it does take a little bit of extra effort, and it also takes a little bit of extra equipment. Not only do you need a pot and a strainer, you also need a second pot. Now, the way around this that I figured out on my own is you can, if you don't have a second teapot, because teapots can get expensive, just use a liquid measuring cup. You can put the tea right in there, pour the boiling water over it, and then use a strainer and pour it into your second teapot. I guess you could call that the rebel version of making tea in it with the 2-pot method without 2 teapots. First, before we go any further, this tea, when these unfurl, they get quite large, but right now they're just these teeny tiny rolled leaves, which is one of the reasons making a tea like this, a loose leaf tea, particularly one with very large leaves, you want those to have as much room as possible to spread out and do their thing in your pot. So I'm going to add these to my pot right here. 1 for me, or I'm so rude. 1 for you, 1 for me, and just a little bit for the pot. So I'm going to pour my water in. One thing with these tea leaves that you want to do, especially the ones that are hand rolled, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to unfurl. So in this case, I'm actually going to rinse this tea. I've got a small strainer right here, nothing fancy. And I'm just gonna pour this over the strainer and let it go. If I were at the sink, I would just pour this right into the sink with a strainer so that I wouldn't lose any of the leaves. Chopsticks are always handy with tea. So now that those have been rinsed, I'm going to pour in some more. Ooh, I got lucky. There's just enough water. Okay, now this is going to steep for about 3 minutes. This would be a good time to put the tea cozy on right here to keep it warm. For this teapot, I found a strainer that fits perfectly inside of this. Now, this one is quite a bit larger. I could do the 1-pot method in here if I chose, but I'm showing you the 2-pot method right now. And then you gently, slowly, carefully pour the tea all the way in to your 2nd pot. And there we go. Most of the tea dregs stay inside like that, but we have a few that have migrated over here to the strainer. Just set that aside. All right, lid on. And now I'm going to pour the tea. This is how to brew a cup of loose leaf tea when all you have is a mug and some random kitchen gadgets. So I've got a strainer that sort of balances, not really, I'll have to hold it. And I've got some boiling water right here. I don't even need a spoon. I'm gonna just eyeball it. I've got my oolong tea right here, just a teaspoon. Stir it around. We're not even going to bother with rinsing. It's just going in there. We'll wait, we'll watch it until it completely unfurls, and then we'll pour it in here and we'll have ourselves a cup of tea. Yeah, you don't even need a tea kettle. You literally can just boil this water in the microwave, let it sit for a few seconds if you're going to do an oolong. If it's a black tea, the tea can go right in right after you pull it out of the microwave. This is steeped a while. The leaves have unfurled and bloomed for us. And now I'm going to very carefully, you can get smaller strainers than this, but I'm going to eyeball this and pour it right inside. Like so. You have to watch where you're going because if you have too much water in here, it can overflow. There you have it, a perfect cup of tea with stuff you probably already have lying around your kitchen.